Well, the Tigers win the series finale against the Guardians. That gives them a series split against Cleveland. We'll talk about that, as well as the final weekend before the trade deadline. All today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Friday, July 26th, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. Welcome in, welcome all, everybody. Happy Friday to everyone. Hope everyone enjoys their weekend. We will be talking about the weekend ahead at the end of the show. The Tigers play the Twins on the field, and it is, of course, the final weekend before the trade deadline. Off the field, we'll talk about all the implications revolving around that. But at first, we are going to talk about the Tigers' 3-0 victory over the Cleveland Guardians on Thursday afternoon. A bullpen game that the Tigers win yet again, 3-0 shutout. They're now 51-53 on the season. This was a really good win. It was like I talked about it a lot going into this season, how like one of the biggest things I wanted to see out of this team was an ability to not allow losses to pile up, right? The ability to snap a losing streak, to not let 2 losses become 4, 5, 6 losses. And that's something that teams in the past, 2022 specifically, but even, pre-COVID, all of those teams were really bad at. And those were really bad baseball teams. So, like, fair. That was what made 2021 and 2023 different. Those teams were still below 500. They still lost more games than they won, but they didn't have any huge, long losing streaks after April in both of those seasons. And so this year, they decided they were going to win a lot in April and then just have their makeshift April in, halfway through May and into a lot of June. So a little bit of a different outlook, but still something that this team, if they can just do it once, if they can just one of these years, just not have a really, really bad stretch of baseball for, a prolonged period of time, 3, 4, 5 weeks straight, then the season after game 162 could end up looking a lot different. So it's important to get these wins. It's important to snap losing skids. It's important, as I said yesterday, I really felt like the wind had kind of come out of the sails, and they went out and won a series finale. They get it's totally different outlook, right? We talked about the doom and gloom yesterday. Like they now, with a bullpen game, got to win, split a series against the first place team in the division, and win going into a series against Minnesota this weekend, who is obviously ahead of you in the standings and a division foe as well. So all around, a really good, a really solid, and honestly, a really important win. As I always say, as important as a win can be in July for a team that's below 500. Let's talk about what went right on the field in this one. I mean, it starts and ends with the bullpen, and that is shutout ball in a bullpen game. I really do. One of these days, I'm going to have to just pull up and do a deep dive kind of on AJ Hinch's success in bullpen games specifically. I'm not sure the ERA is going to be like astronomically low, but I bet you the record isn't bad. And I bet you that he's been just really solid in those. And that's one of the things that he is very kind of, I don't know if famously is probably being too dramatic, but he is known for bullpen management. And I know a lot of people are frustrated with the lineups and the platooning and the lack of bunting and et cetera. There's so many things that people have gripes with when it comes to AJ Hinch. But one of the things that's not talked about very often, because he's pretty darn good at it, is bullpen management. And on bullpen games, you see that to the fullest extent. You understand why, and you see that worked kind of masterfully. So really, really solid. I mean, even Tuesday was a bullpen game as well, and they lost that by a run. They gave up 5. It wasn't a masterclass, but Joey Wentz pitched. Like they only lost by a run on Tuesday, and then they get a shutout and a win in a bullpen game on Thursday. So yeah, shutout ball, always gonna like that. I mean, we can go, pitcher by pitcher. I thought everybody looked pretty darn solid here. Tyler Holton starts the game. He looked good. Easton Lucas, his first outing with the Tigers, he looked really rough earlier this week. He goes out, goes 2 innings of perfect ball with 2 strikeouts. It was getting a ton of swings and misses up in the zone. He had that, I don't know if it was a fastball with ride or whether it was a cutter, but either way, that thing was moving and he was getting swings and misses on it up near the letters. And that's always nice to see. Got a little bit of bulldog in him too, was yelling, getting a little bit emotional on the mound. I loved it. So I don't know if he's long for the roster. I don't know how long he's going to be on the major league roster, all things considered. They need someone else who can start and eat legitimate innings, especially once they trade Flaherty. Like they're not going to have a choice. So I don't know if he's going to be here like the rest of the season or whatnot, but just on like a personal, like human being level, we can put baseball out of it for a second. Just really nice to see a dude do that well when in his first outing he got popped pretty badly, to be honest. So nice to see him. Hopefully that settles him down and he's able to, if he does stick around, able to perform a little bit better going forward. But I imagine he's going to be another kind of long relief, multi-inning lefty type of guy. Then you have Alex Faedo, who I thought looked really solid in this ball game. Not a surprise. Given the box score here, 3 strikeouts, was getting a lot of righties on that slider. Good to see there. Then you have Jason Foley, who goes 2/3 of an inning. I do think the bullpen management was interesting, and obviously, again, it worked. But AJ goes Foley Chafin before the 8th and 9th inning, right? It was a 7th, 8th inning thing, and then that leaves Shelby Miller to the 9th, which was scary. I'm not going to lie to you. I got, especially it was, I believe, top of the lineup, but the lineup turned over while he was out there at least. It was not for the faint of heart. But he goes 1 inning, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, no hits, no runs, and the Tigers walk out of there with a win. But I did want to point out that strategy, right? Going to Foley when you have some dangerous hitters up, then going to Chafin, getting some strikeouts. He's been probably your best reliever for several weeks now. I'm not even sure that's really super arguable. He's been fantastic for over a month now. And yeah, he goes over an inning with 2 strikeouts. Great. Gets the double play, obviously, to get out of that 1 inning. Fantastic. His ERA's back down to 3.25, even though it was ballooned there at one point in June. So really solid all around. Good work, everybody. Good job, boys. And a shutout in a bullpen game we will always gladly take. Let's talk about some more things that went right in this 3-0 victory. We'll do that right after this. Going to talk to you today about our friends over at Booking.com. This episode of Locked On Tigers is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah, with summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, of course, we're talking about your rivals' cities. Tigers just played in Cleveland, a fantastic town with fantastic fans and a really, really just fun part of town, too. Every time I go to a ball game in Cleveland, I root heavily for the Tigers and then end up having a great time. And one of the reasons I have a great time is because of Booking.com. They have hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts. Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this Major League Baseball season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. So book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app. Also got to talk to y'all about our friends over at FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop, really, ever. Shout out the Olympics, which will help that a little bit. But as the playoffs wind down, they're done in most sports. We get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back on Monday, recapping the weekend on and off the field. I'm not sure in the Tigersville if moves are going to start, but around the league, you're probably going to see a couple of moves start happening this weekend. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today. You can see a lot of trades that happen. We'll obviously be put up there, keeping you in the loop with the biggest stories in the sports world from all of our great hosts here at Locked On. Again, subscribe for free on YouTube to Locked On Sports Today, or check it out for free in the Amazon Fire TV channels app. So talked about the bullpen and talked about the great pitching performance that was Thursday afternoon. Javi Baez, with one swing of the bat, is responsible for literally every single run that was scored in this ball game by both teams combined. 3-0 final score, and Javi Baez hits a 3-run homer. It was a slider that could not have actually been more down the middle. It was not a very good pitch whatsoever, but Javi absolutely crushed it. It honestly, my biggest, I don't think, like, every time Javi does anything, everybody always has to be like, oh, did he fix something? Is he back? Is it like, no, okay. Nothing has changed. The thing that I just kind of like radiates in my head when I see something like that from Javi is, man, like, do you guys remember how exciting he used to be? And never in a Tigers uniform, okay, like, ever. Maybe that first like month and a half of his Tigers tenure, he was pretty solid. Sounds a lot like Jordan Zimmerman. And then like everything after that has been pretty rough. Like, do you remember, he used to be like, there was an argument he was the most like at the top, like the most exciting. He was never the best. There was an argument he was the most exciting player in baseball at one point. Cover of MLB The Show back in the day. Great MLB The Show that year as well. Was that 2016, 2018, somewhere around there. Just everything, man. Like, he was so exciting. The oldest Chapman beef, right? Like him hitting walk-offs and screaming at pitchers, and the slides and the tags in the World Baseball Classic, and like everything he touched was just an absolute electric factory. And it's so, like, I understand everyone's pissed at him and some people just hate him because he's never gonna live up to the contract that he was, given and whatnot here. But on a baseball fan level, not even if it wasn't for, for my team, just like for the sport, it's just kind of sad. You see a homer like that, you see that big long swing where he just takes a massive hack at it. The ball goes 900 feet. He pimps it a little bit, and you're like, man, like, they used to happen a lot. He said it. Evan Petzold tweeted out after the game, he said in his post-game media availability, that it felt like he was hitting, it felt like his first career home run again. Like, how does that's sad. That's sad. Good for Javi for the home run in this ball game. Again, all of the offense for both teams combined. And no, I don't think he's back. No, I don't think that he's, like, figured it out or is going to start crushing the ball now. He is what he is. He's going to have an OPS possibly below 500 at the end of the season. And the conversation this winter will be about how to get rid of him. That's just where we're at. But for one glorious game, he is the reason that the Tigers bring home a victory. Bly Madris, shout out Bly Madris, man. I have really, he's gone 0 since getting called up. Actually, I think he had one hit earlier, but regardless, has not looked very sharp since getting called up. and had 3 hits in this ball game. So huge credit where credit's due. One of the reasons he was called up was because he's a lefty, and the Tigers presumably were going to face a lot of righties. I know there's a big conversation. Why would you send down Valade? He's been hitting well, etc. And also Bly Madris can play first base. All reasons that went into the decision. And it really hasn't worked out very well until this ball game. So good to see him get 3 for 4. Solid day at the office for Bly Madris. Colt Keith gets on base twice. Chafin gets on base twice, both of them in the midst of a big hot stretch. Colt Keith, obviously, dating back to early May with how well he's been hitting. But Chafin's numbers are getting better and better and better. And I think Evan Petzold put out there that his last 60 or 70 plate appearances, he's hitting over 300. Really solid. And his stats on the season, he's now hitting 221 with a 763 OPS. Solid, right? And like those numbers in a vacuum, you want the average to be higher. But considering where he was at, solid, right? We're trending in the right direction. I mean, a week and a half ago, this dude was batting under 200. So good to see him continue to get on base, continue that hot streak. The biggest thing really right now is that all of his outs are strikeouts. He is still an absolute strikeout machine. And that is something that he is going to have to adjust to and work on. But when he does hit the ball, he has been getting a lot of not only good results, but like hard contact. He's hitting a lot of extra base hits. His ISO is really good. He's crushing the ball when he hits it. He's just swinging and missing a ton still, especially in the strike zone. Like just a lot of whiffs. And his swinging strike percentage in the zone is not very good, et cetera, et cetera. But it's good to see him make some adjustments, get better and better, and he's trending very much in the right direction. I've liked what I've seen from him lately. Let's talk about what went wrong in this game. It was not all sunshine and rainbows. Again, they only scored on one swing. Outside of that, this was another shutout. I believe they went 1 for 7 with RISP. That only being, again, the Javi Baez home run. We talked about it yesterday, like this lineup is still just not very great and they're better than what they were, but that doesn't make them good. And that's kind of just still, I'm not trying to be like all negative Nancy here after a win. But like, that's just, everything is in context, right? And that's just still kind of the reality of the situation. The bottom of this lineup in this game, Bly Madris, Zach McKinstry, Jake Rogers, Javi Baez. Now, granted, all 3 RBIs and Bly Madris, who went 3 for 4, end up being in that bottom 4. So I guess I can, I can shut up and not talk smack, I guess, right now. But at the end of the day, that is not a consistently competitive bottom 4 in a lineup. Like that's almost the bottom half of your offense. And so that's just where the team is at. Struggles to string at bats together, string hits together, string walks together, really do much of anything consistently from inning to inning still. And that's just where the team is unfortunately still at. Again, shout out to Javi for saving this one and not having us be 0-0 going into extra innings on the road, because that I would imagine would not have gone super well. I thought Riley Greene looked absolutely brutal in this ball game, and that is wildly concerning to me because of the injury concerns that have what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, risen lately. I guess we'll go with that. There's, we have to put him on the bench. We have to get him off his legs. We're not really sure. He's got sore legs, et cetera, et cetera. Then he goes out and he looks like that. He looked really not good. And it's just one game. Hopefully he can just turn it around the next series and he's back to looking how he did. But I wouldn't be bothered with it if it wasn't paired with the timing of injury concern. And it's a lower body injury and swing and whatnot. That's not necessarily hand in hand, but it's not hand in hand either. So we'll see. But that's like my worst nightmare. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, Colt Keith's defense at the end of the game, I guess, was not very great. That's something we talked about yesterday as well. We'll get to that right after this. Got to tell today about our friends over at supplyhouse.com. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades. Supplyhouse.com. Get supplyhouse.com and get your most reliable way of ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trademaster program. Every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. All right, everybody, welcome back. Your third and final segment, Locked on Tigers. So Colt Keith at the end of the game, I don't have like a huge breakdown or anything here. Just we talked about the defense at second base so far this season and how it has unfortunately not been very great. And then we had the drama that was him going back on a ball that like very much was not his. That is not even remotely close to his baseball. I appreciate the effort to make sure that the ball doesn't land, but like that is very clearly Winfield Perez's ball. And the thing is with that play specifically is it's like the second or third time this year that specifically has been an issue for Colt Keith, right? We had a collision with him out there in right field earlier in the season. We've had a couple of near misses. Like this is something that has been reoccurring, and that's the frustrating part with it. Now, it didn't cost him. Winfield Perez hung on to the ball. Everything's good. No one's the wiser. We walk out of there with a win and a series split in Cleveland, but just something, again, like I'm going to continue nitpicking his defense. I'm sorry. The offense has come around. He's been hitting much, much better. We're starting to see the offense that we thought we were going to see and that we were promised and whatnot. And you're seeing why he was extended before his debut. All of that being said, the defense has been a concern for a while with him, and so it's obviously going to be something we continue to talk about. Let's talk stuff. No Kenta Maeda in this ball game, which I thought was very interesting. You need innings from somewhere. You need them, and you don't have them right now. You don't have them right now before trading Jack Flaherty. Where are they going to come from? Like, legitimately, that's a real question. Where on earth are they going to get innings to come from a week from now? I'm going to take it. History would lead me to believe that they wouldn't have got a shutout if Maeda took the bump on Thursday. But golly, I feel like we're delaying the inevitable here. You need innings, and he hasn't pitched in what feels like forever. And you're about to trade one of your only three healthy pitchers. Well, I guess two or three. Like Mize hopefully is back soon. I don't know. I'm very interested in how they're going to tightrope their way through the second half of the season. If Reese Olson is out for a legitimate amount of time, they end up trading Jack Flaherty, and Casey Mize isn't back in the immediate future. And Kenta Maeda doesn't earn a rotation spot back. Congratulations, you have one pitcher. Like I'm very curious. I'm intrigued, we'll call it, on where they're going to get those innings from. This is the last weekend before the trade deadline. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't, maybe they'll make a move this weekend. I'm not sure. I would imagine that most of the moves will be made on deadline day itself next week. So I'm not going to really expect a ton of moves from the Tigers this weekend unless they're just blown away by an offer for like Carson Kelly or something. I do want to throw out there, and we'll again have like a whole trade deadline, type of show. They actually don't play on the 31st, so it'll be easy for us to kind of preview the deadline and have a lot of deeper conversations about it as we head into it. But I just want to throw this out there going into it. Like Flaherty, we talked a lot about, what was that, yesterday, 2 games ago, yesterday. So we don't need to rehash that. I kind of made it very clear where I stand with him. I think he's going to get traded. I don't think Skubal is going to get traded. Again, unless a team just gives you the Godfather offer, which I do not anticipate to happen. We can talk about that a little bit more in depth later as well, but it just doesn't really line up to me. Multiple years of Skubal is obviously incredibly valuable, but I'm not sure it's worth in another team's eyes. Is it really worth 6 years of a guy who was the number one prospect in baseball for other people that want like Jackson Holiday and other people? I don't think the O's are going to do that, and I don't think the Tigers are going to accept less than that. So I think that I don't know. I find it hard to believe that a team is going to really sweep the Tigers off their feet with a Skubal offer, so I anticipate him to be here. Carson Kelly, I am almost certain is going to get traded with the way, especially that Dylan Dingler's been playing. And then that leaves you with what's left. Canna maybe has a market. I can't imagine it's a very hot one. Gio Urshela, I guess, in some universe may have one. Can't imagine that's a really hot one either. But I do think that there's some pieces in the bullpen to keep an eye for. A name that it really wouldn't surprise me if he got moved that no one's really been talking about is Andrew Chafin. He's been so good lately, as we talked about early on, and he's a lefty and he gets strikeouts. I'm kind of fully anticipating them to trade Andrew Chafin, and that's a name that I haven't seen thrown out there by too many people. Jason Foley, I guess there's a chance, hasn't had as good of a year as you'd like him to, but has been your best reliever from start to present day, but doesn't get swings and misses. But teams know that, right? Teams aren't dumb. And I'm sure that 29 other teams, as I say all the time, would love to have a ground ball specialist for their playoff push or in October. So that's a chance. You have multiple years of control on him as well. So you could really try and drive up the price if that does end up happening. I don't think Foley's going to get moved, but I'm just throwing out there anybody with really even a remote possibility. And that's, again, like anybody really in the bullpen could. I mean, bullpen relievers are weird. Teams are weird about relievers. Anybody in there could be on the move as well. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I anticipate it to be a relatively quiet weekend. I say that, and now they'll trade everybody on like Saturday. But we'll see. We'll see. This weekend on the field, the Tigers play the Minnesota Twins. Pablo Lopez versus Keider Montero, Joe Ryan versus Tarek Skubal, and then Bailey Ober versus TBD, who currently is going to have his arm blown out because he's going to start 3 times in the next 5 games. So we'll see what happens with good old TBD. I'd imagine that's another bullpen game as it stands right now. But again, you have some flexibility. Maybe you send down Lucas. You bring up somebody. Ty Madden got popped in his last outing. I don't know. I genuinely, I have not the slightest clue where they're going to go for innings going forward. So we'll see. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. And the big week is tomorrow. We'll talk a lot of trade deadline ball next week. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then, baby. Go Tigers.